Forest at Red Hill, 510 Red Hill Road in Andersonville, just 6 miles from I-75 across from Red Hill Baptist Church. See our Facebook page for the October dates. It starts each night at dark, and the cost is only $10. You won't forget this experience. If you'd like to volunteer or if you have questions, call 865-659-5693 or 463-7464. The Haunted Forest at Red Hill, where only the trees can hear you scream.
Today's Daily Encouragement by William the Encourager, sponsored by Ted Russell Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty on Kingston Pike.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. It is William the Encourager that's coming at you with the question, how do you fight your battles? Do you fight it down on your knees, or are you crying out, please? How do you fight your battles when you don't know? Are you ready to grow? Then you have to know that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and he will give you the strength to fight. Amen? Let's pray. Father, we thank you. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. And when we get through, we're going to thank you again. In the name of Jesus, we pray. How do you fight your battles? Do you fight them through prayer? Because prayer is the most powerful weapon that God has given his people. Listen, when you are using prayer as your weapon, with God, all things are possible, my brothers. This is how we need to fight our battles. We need to continue to push forward. Don't fall back. Do not fall back. Keep pushing forward in every moment. Keep pushing forward. That's the thing that we need to do. Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. When you know better, you know that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Now that you know better, courageous, my brothers and sisters, do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord, your God, will be with you wherever you go. Oh, my goodness. You talking about a promise. My brothers and sisters, this is a promise. He will be with you. He will fight your battles. So listen, the enemy is going to come because he is relentless. He's going to come. He's going to show up. You're going to kick him in the teeth one day, and you know what? He's going to crawl and slither right back the next day. And you got to put him in his place again because he is relentless. And remember, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. You can do this. No matter how hard it looks, you can do this. It looks like it's a battle that you're going to lose, but it's not. Guess what? The battle has already been won. You just have to know how to secure the victory. You secure the victory through trust and faith in our Lord and Savior, because he has already won the battle. The battle has already been won. So be assured and take heart. He said that I have overcome the world. John 16:33 says, take heart, for I have overcome the world. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. See, it's already been done. My brothers and sisters, it's already been done. It's already been won by the one who saved the day, by the one whose name we pray. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Oh, David said, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. If you'll taste and see, you'll know. And you'll remember that there's a way out of your mess. And it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Rome, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask your neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Ask Your Neighbor. Told you earlier today, I was excited that Mike Wallace from Aspire Park. What is your official title, Mike? First of all, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you. Thanks for having me. You have a great studio here.
Thank you.
So my official title is I am the executive director of the Aspire Foundation.
Gotcha.
Of Aspire here, located in Clinton, Tennessee.
That foundation runs the park.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
Keep it running from now on.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that's a lot of park to run.
It is quite a bit. So we originally had the concept. Well, let me backtrack just for a minute. So Mr. Hollingsworth, Joe, as most people know him, as he prefers to be called, had a dream to build a park probably over 40 years ago, and had a little property there in South Clinton, and seemed to be the local place where everybody used to ride four-wheelers and dirt bikes and Jeeps and those types of things. And so eventually that was transformed into a site to where he wanted to have a park here in the future. And so that was originally around maybe 60 acres in total. And so I've been with Joe and our team for around a little under 7 years now.
Wow.
And so when I first came to meet with Joe and our board of directors, he's like, let's go build a park. I'm like, well, okay, let's go build a park, right? And my background has always been in building hospitals and supply chain management and IT solutions. So I'm like, yeah, okay, well, let's go figure it out, right? And that's exactly what Joe said. Just go figure it out. And so the first year, I toured around over 50 parks throughout the nation. Right. So I went to all the big ones, the Central Park in New York. I went to Tulsa, Boise, Chicago, Nashville, all the big mainstay parks, and all the little ones too. The privately ran parks and conservancies, and learned quite a bit from meeting those directors and park directors that serve those communities. And all in told, it was 832 years of experience between all those people.
Wow.
And so we were able to glean a lot of information of I was really primarily looking for what do we not do.
I was getting ready to say, did you learn what to stay away from, what the downfalls that maybe they had happened into that we don't?
Yes, they advised us on a few things, and we took those to heart, and we accomplished most of those except for one. But it was really cool meeting the people and seeing the parks and learning how communities are developed and how they thrive and how the economic destinies can evolve from having very cool public space. But the highlights of what they told me was to have clean, safe areas, right, that can encapsulate the interests of most people.
Yeah.
And so we took upon that as a gathering place mentality for Aspire. And so as you go through the site, you can see the different modalities and low level impacts to high level impacts of recreation that we have there.
So when you were, did you happen to go see any private public parks like we have? This is somewhat unusual to have a private public cooperation like this in a park.
It is. In 2009, the Hollingsworth Foundation looked to embark on a park project with the city where that would be developed privately and be donated to the city.
Yes.
Well, as everybody knows, 2009, the economy took a left turn, and so that project was shelved. And it was originally designed to be a sports park,
yes,
with baseball fields and paintball fields and things like that. So now that it has shifted away from that, the mentality of passive parks, and so our board of directors decided it would be best to just privately fund Aspire on its own and run it privately. And that seemed to be the theme for the best way to get a park designed and developed and built and maintained was through privately funding it.
Well, and it gives you the opportunity to do exactly what you'd like to do and rest in the fact that it's going to be cared and upkept exactly the way that it needs to be cared for and upkept too. Yeah, if a municipality has it, if they're running it, they can change their mind or change something, I guess, down the road. But so it seems like it worked out the way that it was supposed to.
It's went really well so far. Now through, even though it's all privately funded, let me speak a little bit about that. So the Hollingsworth family has donated the capital investment to build Aspire. They donated that to the Aspire Foundation.
Yes. And
also they've set that, and that's to build everything that you've seen today, right? And then so the family has also donated monies back into an endowment to run Aspire for 100 years privately. So there's no intention for it to be donated to the city.
Sure.
They do a great job of
yes.
what they have, and they've got their separate initiatives from what we do. So we think it blends together pretty well.
Oh, I think like I said, I think at the end of the day, what happened was the right thing to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think for the city and for the Hollingsworth Foundation, it is an amazing just an amazing place. I had been to it once before with a chamber event, but we were just right there at the entry place and walked up to the spire and the bell and saw some of that. But on the tour that we got to go to, we could go Tuesday or whenever it was just amazing. I mean, the color-coded playgrounds for ages of the kids, the where you can launch the canoes, kayaks, yes. and things like that. I mean, it's just, I suppose people will fish off that too or whatever. It's just an amazing place. And you guys now, through cooperation with TVA, the park is what, 370 acres as
yes.
opposed to the 70 that Joe started with?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And so I'll backtrack a little bit about the philosophy and mentality. So we discovered early on to have of course, Aspire is for the community, mm-hmm. right? But it also has a broader sense of wanting to promote tourism and also give our community, something so they don't move off to the Nashvilles and Asheville's and Chattanoogas, right? Give them a community asset here that they can enjoy. But going with TVA, going back to your question about TVA, so through the process of building a private park, our foundation and our team still had to go through 28 different local, state, and federal permits. You're talking about just to build a private.
28 agencies to go through and get all these permits.
Yes, sir. And actually, they've all been great.
Yes.
TVA was the first to jump on board there in talks of how we could combine their property that butts up to Aspire there, how we could develop that for recreational use, because they still have to satisfy all their public land laws and their philosophy of promoting recreation and tourism and economic development throughout the Southeast, and that partnered up exactly with what we want to do.
Yes.
But if you look at Aspire from a 30,000-foot view, you have TVA, which like I said butts up to Aspire. You have the Clinch River, right, which is also TVA and Army Corps of Engineers and TDEC. There's creeks all over the place, and you got State Highway, which is TDOT, and you have Norfolk Southern, and also now RJ Corman, and all these entities have actually been great to work with, and along with the city and also the county. Everybody's just been so helpful in every regard to get Aspire pushing forward, and through COVID it was a little tough.
Oh yeah.
People didn't want to meet; they wanted to Zoom. We're more of a face-to-face business. We like to shake hands and sit down at the table, and talk to people and work through those opportunities to be solved. But all in all, everybody was great. But TVA was the first to jump on board. So essentially, what we did is for our property, which is around 192 acres. TVA completes the rest of that balance of the 370 acres with their property there on Lost Ridge Mountain. We signed what's called a cooperative agreement. Now, most people will say that's an easement. Well, technically, it's not an easement. It's essentially the same type of agreement. They just call it a cooperative agreement. And what that allowed us to do was to conservatively develop and really just to build trails on their portion of their property that connected into our property to create one large trail system. And we worked with them to develop the launch venue down the Clinch River down there that's for kayaks, canoes, and non-motorized, but no outboard motors or jet skis. There's plenty of other places that can take place upstream. And also develop a 1 mile, what we call the Clinch River Greenway, that begins at our launch venue facility down there and has some cool sinuosity that goes right along the Clinch River.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They worked very diligently, and for a federal entity to work that quickly over those amount of years was a great asset to have them on board.
Was it a larger undertaking than you thought it was going to be?
Well, when you first look at a site, let's say you have 60, 70 acres to work with, and you're talking about developing an asset not only for the community but to promote tourism and to help promote, be an economic development catalyst. We learned really quickly from all of our visits to other large parks throughout the United States that they had those same ideas and philosophies, and some executed very well, and some decided they didn't want to go down that path. And so that's what spurred on the idea to create such a larger park footprint there, to go from that 70 to 370. So we could have all these different places, the light recreation, the walking around, looking at the flowers, and up to the heavy recreation on the bike park that we have, and also the trail amenities and the access to the water. And then you throw in the restaurant. That was one thing that the community, when I would ask anybody, what do you want? Right? What would be the number one thing, you magic one? We want a nice place to sit down and eat, because we don't want to go to Powell, as good as Powell and Knoxville and Bearville and Oak Ridge are.
Yes.
We want to nice sit down community, a restaurant in our community. We can get a nice steak, or we could, get a good hamburger. There's places around Clinton to do that as well. But somebody, they wanted a place to take their family to a sit-down restaurant.
Kind of a destination place. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And you did a wonderful job. How did you end up in the position that you're in with Joe? How did that? You're building hospitals out there, and how did that happen?
It's a funny story. I was actually on and I had interviewed Alliance for Better Nonprofits, had posted a position, and I just got through selling off a company that I'd had, and I'd had a little time to figure out what my next step was, and was actually on a family vacation.
Okay.
Where were we? Let's see, we were in Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Joe calls me up, says, "Hey, this is on a Wednesday." Says, "Hey, can you be here on a Friday for an interview?" And I went, "Well, probably." Might take me a little bit to get there. And so I took a 17-hour trip, maneuver from Barcelona back to Knoxville, and came over to meet with Joe and board of directors and our current teammates that we had there. And it just worked out well. We Joe wants to see something, like I said, to be again, not to harp on being an economic development catalyst, but he wants to see that, portrayed through the park. The park will help bring in those types of
business to Anderson County and East Tennessee,
promote tourism. And he and I aligned on that, so it seemed to be a good mentality for both of us to push forward, and then just go figure it out. And that's what we did when we started researching parks. And it wasn't just the first year that I did that. We've been doing that ongoing all through the design process. From those visits, we, I was always asking, who do you use for your landscape architect? Who do you use for your structural engineer? Different, trying to figure out not only the scope of how we would build something here in Clinton, but also who would you use, right? Who are the best people to partner with out there to get the design done? So we come back with a big list of contractors and for landscape architects, and we whittled that down to 10, and those 10 had a national design competition.
Really?
So gave them a little bit of a stipend to bring all their cool ideas, and then so we whittled that down to 3. And of those 3, we ultimately picked a firm out of Philadelphia called Port Urbanism, and they've done some work now in Bentonville and downtown Knoxville. Very creative firm, do a great job on design, and so we contracted with them to design all the cool buildings that you see and the architecture and the layout of the site.
It's kind of something that runs. Joe does on a frequent basis. He'll bring people together and then let them compete for. Mm-hmm. You did that with the trails too, right?
We did, yes.
It brought in 9 different architects for the trails?
Well, 10 different trail builders.
Okay.
And so we knew we had a couple hundred acres to work with. And on the trail philosophy, locally, there's 100 miles of trails now. At the time there was probably 75 or 80 miles within Clinton. Right. And so you've got Hall Ridge, which has got their mark of what they do there. Windrock does a great job out there. Aaron Gwynn and his team, along with Mr. Galloway, they bring those top % people in from all across the world and internationally to ride those downhill trails. And looking at Knoxville, it's still 30 minutes away, and they got a good trail system there in the urban wilderness and IMS. And so, what we wanted to do, and this is an underlying theme through Aspire site-wide, is we wanted people to be able to come out and ride some easier types of trails and have different trail intensities. Right. Yes. So it's not the same trail 20 miles. This is copy and pasted throughout the trail system, right? So we had 10 different trail builders come in, and I'd say 90% of those are, green, which is the novice beginner, and the blue, which is the intermediate level of hiking and biking. We do have a very cool 1 mile rock line trail that goes across the top of the mountain. It's fantastic. Cool. And it's got an alternative line that you can jump off and do the easy sections on it as well. But yeah, so we had over 10 different trail builders. So you've got all of these different cool intensities of different types of trails built by different people from all across the nation. And so we've got around 20 miles out there plus the greenway, and we've got 2 downhill trails that are mountain biking only. We have 2 hiking trails that are hiking only, but the remainder of all of the trails are dual direction, multi-purpose, so you can hike or bike or trail run.
That's cool.
On any of those. Yes.
And Red Bull was involved in one of them, right?
Well, so that's the trail system you're speaking about. Yes. So behind our adventure style playgrounds, which we can talk about in a minute, we have what is called the Grit and Bank-It Bike Park, right? Uh-huh. And so Grit and Bank-It was designed by Velo Solutions and Red Bull. There we have a pump track, we have a skills course, and we have a downhill, I would say it's called a downhill course there, and all that's asphalt. Awesome. Right. And so it was designed in mind to have be certified for a competition level, or people can just come in, bring their bikes, and just go have a good time. And it's been that's one of the things that I've noticed in these last 2 weeks of being open is the amount of bikes, right? Little kids on Strider bikes. I'm not a mountain biker myself. All my friends do it, so I get all the input from them. But just seeing the kids out there on the little Strider bikes and learning to ride the pump track and get on the trails, and all the strollers and all the families walking down the greenway and just congregating and having a good time.
Seeing it come to fruition with you guys.
After 6 years of design and construction, it's been very well worth it to see all that come together at one time.
Talk about those playgrounds, because that was so cool. I'd never thought of color coding the playground. That was a great idea.
Yeah. Our team came up with that, and so basically, when you and I grew up, we had the big metal structure.
Monkey bars.
You fall off and you slide down the slide. Mm-hmm. It's not very cool in the summer. You get some heat burns on those. You remember those days? But,
yes.
And that was the mentality back then, is just have a big, large structure and just all the kids just go play on it. So the one things that we learned, I specifically saw it in Memphis at Shelby Farms. I walked in there and I was like, man, this is a really cool playgrounds, a different setup, and so they have different areas of play by age group. And we saw that at the Gathering Place. If anybody ever goes to Tulsa, please go by there and see that. It's a phenomenal park. It's probably the #1 ranked park in the United States right now. Of course, it's $450 million park, I believe, out there.
Oh, wow.
with the city of Tulsa, and they have a couple acres of playgrounds, and so they follow that same theme of having small play, like 2 to 5 year olds have their own section, and then like 6 to 10 area, and then having 11 plus.
Mm-hmm.
For those kids that aren't really driving yet, they're kind of in between stages.
Yeah.
And they can't, they need their own place to play as well, and then the kids can progress, right?
That's cool.
And then, if you don't want your child, your 3-year-old playing with a 13-year-old, well, it's separated and it's spread out enough to where it can be seen from our outdoor patio.
Yeah, you can sit right there and watch.
Yes,
while your kids play. You have complete view of everything.
Mm-hmm. And
that's just
the
amazing.
neatest thing that we found, and this again came from the Gathering Place in Tulsa, was we call them kitty zips. They're just the little
zip lines.
We don't really call them zip lines, but that's what they are. They the kids zip back and forth on these cableized little seats, and it's really neat. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the Pearl, about the restaurant, because that's something that, like you said, everybody wanted, highly anticipated to get a sit-down restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I drive by there almost on a daily basis. Every time I've gone, it looks like the parking lot is full. So it seems like it's really kicked off with a bang. But talk a little bit about the restaurant, some of that.
So early on, our team talked about having a restaurant, and the consensus was, and restaurants are tough, right? Anybody that's in that business or has launched a restaurant know there's some pain points to go through, right? And so we had actually visited, our board had visited. There's really only about 3 parks, maybe 4 if you count Piedmont Park, that have successful restaurants inside of a park footprint. Because it's tough, because you still have a park to service, and then you're offering a sit-down restaurant. Most parks have cafe styles where you can grab the hot dog and the chicken nuggets, and those seem to be very successful. But here we wanted to try to tackle that challenge because it was important to the community. And we like challenges. We like opportunities to solve. And so we went and saw those restaurants that were successful in these other park venues, and we learned such a tremendous amount from those people. They just literally opened up the doors for us. We talked to their chefs, we talked to their accountants, we talked to the park directors that had to actually run these restaurants in cohabitation with the rest of the park. And so we gained so much knowledge from them that I believe it has led us to develop the success that we're currently seeing. But I would just ask that just please be patient with us. We have a lot of things to learn still, and I believe the execution has been done very well of the food. Just be patient with us on the wait times, because it is a pretty big demand right now to get people seated. So.
Should folks call for reservations, or should they walk in? Which do you prefer?
I would definitely call right now. We're working on developing our app where you can book those reservations online. So that's something that we're continuing to improve upon. But definitely I would call. I don't know what the wait is today as far as like being days out, but I would definitely, it might be tough just to walk up and get a seat right now, but I would definitely make a reservation.
What are you hearing from the community, the folks that are coming in? I mean, I know you kind of did test runs a couple of weeks before you opened, and now you're open and everybody's coming. What's the response?
From the restaurant perspective, or
just in general?
Well, to silo the restaurant out, I heard that people love the menu, that the food is very good.
It is good.
And it's exactly what people wanted. Right, they wanted that variety of choices, and so what we've modeled that off of is basically, probably everybody knows of Connors or been there, a Connors food level expectation with an Aubrey's price point.
Yes,
that's where we've tried to land there at the Pearl at Aspire, and I believe we've hit the marks so far. Again, we've got some challenges we need to solve, but we're well on our way to accomplishing that. So.
I know that, well, I don't know, but it was rumored that Joe was going to spend about $25 million building this park. And just from watching and the COVID coming and it's extending out, he had to go over budget. Are you at liberty to tell us how much you guys invested in that park?
Well, not today.
Okay.
I will just say that it's a tremendous asset, and obviously when you're looking at a site that's 70 acres, and without a restaurant, and without and originally we didn't really plan to build many buildings. Well, we've got 3 or 4 buildings right there, right? But I will say I'm proud of our team and the commitment of the foundation, Joe and his family, to do what's necessary to meet the goal.
Yes.
Right. And so we want to do what it took to try to deliver on what our goal was. And so, and that does come with some cost.
Sure.
Right. And then, again, you throw COVID in there, and that slows things down a little bit.
Supply chain costs went up and everything.
Yeah, I mean, when it takes a year to get an air conditioner, it's hard to plan for construction sometimes. But our construction team, hats off to them, because, we went out and did the research and got the design work done, but they actually had to build what was designed.
Yeah, right? They brought the idea to life.
Yeah, they brought the idea to life. And typically, they work on industrial parks and things like that. And so building a living, breathing space for them was I'm sure it was a challenge in some aspects, but they, no pun intended, they knocked it out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing I'd like to commend some other people that don't get enough credit. Joe and his team, his commercial business, they've worked their whole lives to generate the revenue that's been donated to Aspire.
Yeah.
Right. So you have all these people that's worked
a lifetime of work.
A lifetime of work that has really busted their hump and given decades of their life to earn the income. All those long nights and all those things they did, they really have helped support Aspire just as much as anybody else.
Absolutely.
Right. So I want to commend all the people that work at Joe's office there for doing all those great things that led to these opportunities for us to be able to bring this forward.
Huge undertaking, and I know that grew as it went from 70 to 370. Mm-hmm. Folks out there, I've had people call and go, "Hey, are we allowed to go on that?" And I said, "Yeah, it's a public space. Mm-hmm. You're allowed to go just like you to go to Lakefront Park or anything else." Mm-hmm. Speaking of Lakefront Park, or maybe some of the city's assets, I know the city's got that passive dog park just over the hill from us, and there's talk at some time maybe that might be able to be accessed through or over the hill or somehow, some way.
And they did a great job with the with, I believe they call it Card Farm Dog Park, and it's a great facility over there. And there's always opportunities for connections for greenways and sidewalks. And so we're just a private foundation, right? Going back to what your previous comment was, that yes, it's a privately funded park that's open to the public.
Sure.
Right. And so we just please come visit with us. But we've always have a great relationship with the city. They've helped us tremendously. And again, the county has done the same thing as well. And so there's other opportunities out there that I think in the future could be looked at for connections over to Aspire and into downtown.
Knowing Joe like I do, and like most people in the town do, I doubt that it's just going to stay like it is. Things always seems to grow when he gets involved. And in fact, I don't know if it was you or he that mentioned to me that they're even talking about cabins or some other stuff maybe down the road.
I'm not sure about that one. Let us get the park open and burned in and get everything up to the level of our standards right now. And our team's doing a great job. One thing I would like to throw in there as well is we developed a 1-week culture training program for all of our teammates.
Yes.
Right? So let's say you come in and you come to work for Aspire. So you go through a 1-week training program internally that talks about, not only the history of Clinton, but what our goals are as an organization and how we bring that to light for our guests or our visitors that come in to Aspire. So they do that for a week.
So they're very versed in who we are.
Yes,
what we are.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so hats off to Michelle Baker. She runs a company called Stone Ledge, and she was Disney's lead trainer, I think, for almost 3 decades.
Oh, wow.
And so she's come in and helped with our input, develop a training program. So when these are large, these are like 25 and 30 group numbers of people that come in at one time. We do our hiring in big phases, and so they go through this culture training.
Yes.
And that's before they get to their job training. So they're inundated with like 2 weeks of who we are, how we want to do it, the Southern hospitality angle, and then you get to learn
how to do
learn how to do your job. And so that's one of the things that we felt was critical early on, that we infuse that. So people know about the history of Clinton and our community and all the great assets that we have here. That way they could push that forward to when people come in. I've seen license plates from Utah and Texas and Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And so you've got I-75, come from Toronto down to Florida.
Sure.
And so we hope to gain some exposure from those people, just to have them pull off and visit with us for a day, maybe stay, go see the Museum of Appalachia, go see Green McAdoo, learn about our history, and then come back next time.
Do you, have you started your, I guess, national marketing yet? Or are you guys just wanting to get it, before you really launch into it, you just kind of growing into it yet?
Yeah, that's a good question. So early on, we were pretty conservative because, through the design process, and again, not to hamper on COVID, thankfully that's over. But
yes, amen.
But we're a little conservative, and now we're ramping up our marketing regionally, and I think you'll see some national exposure pretty soon. We had some Red Bull pro mountain bike athletes out yesterday that did some filming.
Oh, cool.
And we've got some other influencers that are going to be coming and visiting, through, whether it's through the restaurant or through the kayaking or hiking or the other amenities that we have there. So we're going to start to push out some bigger marketing emphasis pretty soon.
It's obviously a beautiful space, wonderful space for people to go and enjoy, and an asset to our community. You can go take a walk, you can go ride your bike. You got a sectioned dog park for big dogs, little dogs, medium dogs, which is cool. But I think something that I don't know if it's overlooked or not, but it's also, you guys put this park together to inspire people. Mm-hmm. And you've got, what is the Great 8, the things there out on the porch. And then you've got all through the park, you've got, what do you call it? I guess just little biographies about people who, aspired to do something or what have you. Talk just a little bit about that there on the porch, the different things that are huge in our area. Mm-hmm. And then a little bit about the people, or some of the people.
I'll use I'm gonna use Joe's words, and sometimes I don't say this exactly. He's very good at saying this, but he wanted people, him individually. His goal was he wanted to have people feeling better about themselves when they left Aspire than when they came in.
Okay.
Right, and also, you can do big things too. Why not you?
Why not?
Right. What's keeping you from taking the first step of realizing your dream? Now, is that a little difficult to get across in a park setting? Maybe, but that's our goal, is for when people come in there, is for them to dream big.
Not upstairs with the kids' room where they go through and actually talk about what they want to do and what's holding them back, and then they get to go in and leave a message that you shoot into space.
Yeah,
for crying out loud.
Potentially you shoot into space. And so a little bit about that area is called the Adventure to Aspiration Mountain.
Yes.
Right, and I guess the best words we could use is we want to inspire people to aspire. Right, and so and part of a big part of that is with the children, and so I'm sure you know about Junior Achievement.
Yeah,
they do
I actually taught in it for
phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
There. That's for grades 5 through 12, and Callie Archer and Amy Wilson do a tremendous job there, and I don't want to misquote, I think they have 12 or 13,000 kids a year.
Yeah.
That come through there, and I think they've broken the 120,000 mark over the last 20 years of participants there. And so, that's about developing a business mindset and learn about being an entrepreneur and sparking that interest. Well, at Aspire, on the Adventure to Aspiration Mountain, we want to plant that seed of aspiration in young people. And so what we're doing is we're going to develop a program. We're not quite there yet, but we're looking at developing a program. We bring in fourth graders, right? And so they go through the Adventure to Aspiration Mountain. It's superhero themed, so they pick their little superhero. Yeah, I like Awesome Possum. It's my favorite one. It's a great name.
It
Whoever
is
came
great
up with that,
name.
kudos to you.
That's good.
And so they go through the 6-station process of where they're learning of how to develop their aspiration and again, what's holding you back? Why are you not taking that first step toward achieving your aspiration, which typically is the hardest, right?
Yeah.
And just like in business,
first step's always the hardest.
First step's always the hardest. And like you mentioned at the end, we have an aspiration booth where the kids can go in there and they can record their aspiration, right? And they can make it private or they can make it public. Right? And then on our laser cannon at our Service and Sacrifice Memorial, we're attempting to try to figure out how to shoot aspirations.
The data and everything into space. That's pretty cool.
And that was NASA technology that was commercialized by a few guys, and there's ours is the third one in the United States.
Well, it's only the third laser light show. Like, is that correct?
The laser cannon is.
Yeah,
yes,
the laser cannon.
It shoots straight up into the air, and so we're learning a lot of good things about that, and people see that, and we don't turn it on all the time. We turn on the lights based around the Service and Sacrifice Memorial there, but the laser cannon is such a cool thing when you drive by there and see that
straight up forever beam. It doesn't end.
Supposedly, yes.
Now, what delegates when you do and don't turn that on?
It's just up to us when we do that. Yeah, we have of course we have to let the FAA know and some other people know that we're going to turn that on. So
that's interesting.
But yeah, that's just kind of on like when we want to do it mentality.
And then, how did you guys go about picking the stories, the places? How did you guys pick that?
Yeah, getting back to that, you're talking about the Pearl of Spire has a large patio on the outside. So the restaurant seats around 75 on the inside. It's got cool nano walls that open up to the outside. I don't know if you experienced that when you were there.
Yeah. You guys didn't open them, but we showed how they, that was cool.
On the 10 days a year in Tennessee that we can actually open those. be cool.
It'll be nice.
But our outside area there, the patio is called the Pearl Garden, right?
Yes.
And right on the verge of that, along the bridge, we have 8 stories there of aspirational people, places, and things that's occurred in this area. Because Joe and our board wanted people to understand and know the history of Clinton and the surrounding areas. There's a lot of cool, interesting things here that most people probably don't even know about. Just like the Pearl of Spire. It's named after the pearling industry. The
pearl trade.
Yeah, from 1830 to 1920. And it's not an oyster bar or anything like that for those that haven't been there. It's a regular restaurant. But yeah, in addition to that, we've also developed 55 other stories that are located on all the wayfinding posts throughout the trail system. So when you come up to an intersection of 2 trails, you can read about people, places, and things, whether it's like magnet mills, right, or or other cool things here in Clinton as well. So
it's got to feel good to be part of something like that. Just last night, somebody said, "What are the fireworks in Clinton?" And I said, "Oh, that's Aspire Park." How often do you do that? Start with that.
Well, we've done that twice. Yeah. Last night was our second round, and so it's just like the laser cannon. We just want to set those events out in the future, but we don't have a set date right now when we're going to do those in the future. We've done them twice, so I feel like pretty successful so far.
The person who was asking me last night, they were like, "What's the upside for Joe?" And I said, well, I think he just has accomplished something that he always wanted to do, but financially, I don't think there's an upside for Joe, not in the way that everybody, not in we're used to dealing with Joe. It's usually business and he's successful and he builds more business off of that. This is just something that he's given as a gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I don't want to speak for Joe, but knowing him these last 7 years, he just wanted to do something for his community. He loves his town. He loves the people here, and he just wanted to see something that would help, economically develop or incentivize. And with Aspire, he's hit that on both sides, right? So I believe we've hit it on both sides with the businesses and the tourism, and also trying to, like I said, inspire people to aspire on a personal level.
Sure.
So Aspire, it seems to be accomplishing all the things up front so far that we've designed it to be impactful. But Joe is just a giver, and he wants to see something very cool in his community, and help, like I said, promote all those different angles.
What are the hours of the park? People out there, they're wanting to go see it. Maybe they haven't. I know some people have been a little bit intimidated of it. They don't know what it is. It's a restaurant or what.
Mm-hmm.
But what are the hours? And just kind of give people the wherefore as when they come, how late they can stay.
Yeah, so it's open at dawn and closes at dusk. Every once in a while we will have some special events there, and the restaurant is open from 11 to 11.
Okay.
And then we will have some special events coming up. We have a very cool Aspirations and Light walk through Christmas light. It's like a Shadrach.
It's going to be the thing you drive through up. It's going to be like a walkthrough.
It'll be a walkthrough version of that.
How cool.
So that's coming up. We're getting ready to install that and get it launched.
And that's got to be fun. You're just now getting open and getting ready to launch into Christmas.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's so Aspire is an amalgamation of all these different park theories that we've visited over the past 6 years, really. And it's got a lot of different arms to it, but essentially it's a place for the community to come in and have something to do, try to have something for everybody to do. There's certain limitations, obviously we can't do everything.
Sure.
And so we have an area there for you and your canine friends, right?
Yeah.
We have the exchange building there. It's a large farmers market type open air pavilion mentality. We have something on our veterans there with a Service and Sacrifice Memorial. We have access to the water.
Will you talk just a little bit about the Service and Sacrifice Memorial? Just a little bit. We didn't get to talk much about that on the tour that we got to go on, but
sure.
Tell a little bit about that, because it's got the fireman that's running.
So so the Service and Sacrifice Memorial is not all based on veterans, right? It's pretty heavily laden with that mentality there. We have all 6 service branches represented there, and an aspirational story about each service branch, but it's also indicative of the service and sacrifice that people go through in their everyday lives.
Okay.
Right. And so it's all those things kind of rolled into one. Of course, that's where the laser cannon lights up, and we got the 13 spires there, the sculpture you see.
Yeah.
That's symbolic of the 13 original colonies in the United States that morphed down to the 50 states that are the placard-style concentric ring circle along the bottom. And we do also have a full-scale Liberty Bell replica.
Yep.
There, which we can ring. We won't do it when you're standing in there. And we were able to obtain some metal from the North Towers during the 9/11 attacks, and so that's also infused into the bell assembly.
So there's actually metal from the North Tower in the bell. That's so cool.
Absolutely, very cool. There's a story there about how Liberty rings on. And so you can go see that Liberty Bell replica. And going back to the statue we have there, it's of Wells Crowther. So Wells wasn't a fireman, wasn't a first responder, wasn't a police officer. Actually has no ties to Clinton at all. It's just a story of bravery and courage there. So Wells was, I believe he was on the 10th floor when the attacks happened on September 11th, 8:46 a.m. And so Wells had found his way down to the street level. So instead of just keep running like probably most of us would do, right? Wells, like I said, young man, 23 years old, he goes back into the building, looking for people, digging them out of the rubble, going into the different rooms and finding groups of people, because he knew the way out, right, through the staircase. And you can imagine through all the fire and smoke and all the terrible things going on there. And so Wells did that for over an hour.
Going back and forth, leading people out.
And I don't know about you, but I walked up 19 flights of steps this morning to get to my office, and I was out of breath. So I can imagine running up 10 flights of steps.
I get it.
Over an hour. And so Wells did give his life there and sacrificed to help his fellow people there. And so we just want to honor his
How did you
there.
come to learn that story? Because I had not heard it until now.
Joe and Brenda knew of his story. I'd actually heard of it before. He's known as the man in the red bandana.
Yes.
Right, because he had a red bandana on. They have pictures of him running, on the cameras, saving people in the World Trade Center attacks. And so the whole backstory is his father gave him that red bandana. He was younger and he had it in his back pocket. He played lacrosse at Boston College and was successful there and worked in the financial district. And so, and evidently, he was wearing that, when he was running up and down the stairs. And it's really cool. Boston College does a red bandana football game every year.
Oh, wow. In his honor?
In his honor. And they have a good story about him on ESPN that they'll play before that. And it's usually when they play Miami or Florida State, it's one of their bigger games. But the jerseys have red bandanas and the helmets have red bandanas. It's a nice.
It's cool. And that it's also cool that we have that, that we get to share and look at and be part of here in Clinton, something that guys like me, even though when you said the guy in the red bandana, of course we saw that, but I didn't know any of the backstory on that until the park. It's just really cool. I mean, it's a place to go and you can leave feeling inspired. You really do. I mean, I've been there and I'm going to get you to talk a little bit about the bar.
Oh, the bar.
The flask. The flask, right?
Flask. Yeah, so upstairs.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so the Pearl at Aspire is on the lower level when you walk in. It's got the Pearl Garden outside, which seats 125 people. So, if you're at the playgrounds, and you want to let your kids just run and have fun, you can sit out there
and watch
and have a beverage or eat, or if you're on a mountain bike, or say you're coming off your kayak and you don't want to go inside because maybe you might be a little bit sweaty, well, you can sit outside and still enjoy the same amenities as you would inside. But when you do go inside and go upstairs, we have two event spaces. We have one called the Jewel. That's the big glass box that you see that sticks out over the front of the building.
Yes.
There. And in the back, we have what's called the Jade.
Is that where the glass opens in the Jade?
Is.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And so that opens. It has nano walls on it, so that opens up to the outside. We also have a little space adjacent to the Jade. It's got a little green patio out there. Artificial grass areas. So people want to have a wedding or want to have a corporate event or have some gathering outside, they could do that. And we've got two rooftop areas there that could be overseating for the restaurant. Potentially, we haven't really opened that up yet.
It'd be like overflow.
Yeah, overflow. On busy days, which all of them are pretty busy right now. Thank you for everybody that's coming in. Just please be patient with us. But on the event side, we never really aimed originally to have weddings. We always thought we'd do corporate events or corporate retreats and have companies come in. But now it's the space we have is very cool. And
you've even got the little hearts and stuff.
We do, yeah. So that's one of the things that we changed through our design process. We want to adapt that mentality to have weddings along with corporate events. And so, again, be patient with us. We're not going to do any of those right now. We hope to launch those programs and rental spaces in the spring. But feel free to call or email, and maybe we can try to get you on the books for next year.
Is it a hummingbird wall or is it a butterfly wall that's outside? Hummingbird wall.
Yes. Yeah, that was somebody on our team came up with that idea, and so they've planted. Forgive me, I don't know the name of the plant there, but we planted the whatever it is there to encourage hummingbirds, to come there. So we'll see in the spring. It's supposed to work. So I'm looking forward to that.
And then I'm at any moment you tell me when you got to go because I can talk all day about this, Mike.
Sure.
Well, I forgot what I was getting ready to ask you. That's on my mind, and I got caught up with leaving.
You were asking about the upstairs, about the flask.
Yeah, so. the bar. Yeah, Joe. You said Joe he designed that himself, right?
He did. He did.
It's kind of like a 1920s. It has a real cool vibe to it.
Yeah, it's almost like a speakeasy type mentality there, and that's designed to support both of the event spaces upstairs. Excuse me. That's just an area there that you could have, it's just basically a bar. And
sure.
You can get some high-end whiskeys there, and I don't believe it's going to be open all the time. It may just be open for reservations or open to support those event spaces. But we like the flask. It's a cool little touch upstairs.
It is. No, all of it is cool. Somebody had called and asked if we'd have a question. Jay, if they have a question, if you'll just write it down or whatever, because I'm not necessarily going to take calls. I'm not against it, but we're running on a time schedule here. So is there anything else you want people to know that I haven't asked people? Anything about the park, about its development, about Joe, about anything that you want folks to know they may not know?
That's a good question. I think we've touched about every point.
We've touched it, but there's a lot deeper to all of it. If folks will go.
Again, going back, like I said, we have a place. We have a bark park there. We have an open air pavilion, Service and Sacrifice Memorial. That's got a whole lot of things going on there. Laser cannon.
Yeah.
We have our launch facility down the Clinch River, and again, that's just for human powered or non-motorized.
Yes.
But you still come fish and launch your kayak and canoe, and that's also a nice rental space down there. We've got about our greenways, probably about 1.25 miles, maybe a little bit more, and that's all asphalt, hard surface, and it goes along the Clinch River. All the trails, 20 miles of trails. We've got the restaurant and adventure-style playgrounds and adventure at Aspiration Mountain. So I think we've covered just about all.
Do you care if I take a couple of really quick questions?
No,
I'll get you out of here fast, I promise.
Sure.
We will not linger a long time. Good morning. Do you have a question for our guest this morning?
Yes, sir, Ron. I got two, please.
All right, Pat.
Me and my wife went through there the other day, and it's a real nice park. Looked like maybe you had 4 charging stations for cars, and also it looks like it's a long walk going to the restaurant, and me and her both were on walkers, and I was wondering if it was about that. And thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Pat. All right.
His
charging stations.
Yeah, we have 4 charging stations there, and so it was. I never really thought about it when we were developing Aspire, but people, when they're traveling in their electric vehicles, they look for places to charge their cars, and typically at destination points they have these. And so so we've added those for people to be able to charge their cars there, and I believe it take them an hour or two maybe to charge their vehicles.
And the close parking up by the restaurant, that's relatively close, isn't it?
It's around, I would say 500 feet from where you park to have to get to the main door and of the Pearl. And so, typically, you just pull up to a restaurant and walk in. And so we do have shuttle services available there. So if anybody is coming to dine with us, if they'll call ahead, and or when they get there, if they'll just call and ask for, we can golf cart shuttle people that have.
I was going to say, y'all drove us up there.
Yeah, across the bridge.
Right there.
Yeah, we'd be happy to help assist get those people to the restaurant and back. And we also have an elevator inside in case if they have to be seated upstairs. We can take them on the elevator.
So they can just call for the shuttle service.
Absolutely.
Real quick, let me see if this is one more question for us. Do you have a question for our guest this morning, right quick?
Yes.
All right, go right ahead.
I was wondering, I've talked to several people that have been there with their grandchildren at the playgrounds, and they mentioned that there's no place for the older people to sit down while the kids are playing. I was wondering if they plan on putting benches or somewhere that people can possibly sit and watch their grandkids or their kids play.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is that something you guys think about adding?
We're always looking to add more seating there. Of course, the first week was slightly overwhelming. We wasn't expecting that response there. But we are that area where she's talking about is a pretty critical mesh point in between the playgrounds and the restaurant and the bike park.
Yeah, it's kind of like center point.
Yeah, and so we've already started updating there. Putting some places for bikes to put on the racks that are a little bit away from the play areas. And we have discussed internally about putting more benches. We do have some seating out there.
Well, and you can set up on the porch, too, but some people might want to be closer,
we've got a few Adirondack chairs there. But, we're looking into that. So that's a great question.
Fantastic.
Thanks for asking that.
Somebody wanted to know if you guys are looking at lodging or hotels in the future.
I get that question all the time. At the end of every tour, they say, where's the hotel going?
Yeah.
Right. And so we looked at that during our research. It's just not something that we wanted to take on at this point. We wanted to see how the event space and the restaurant and wedding and all those requests.
Well, your success will generate that from the business community. You know what I mean? A Hampton Inn or somebody sees it working, they're going to want property close to it.
We hope, and that's where the philosophy of promoting that economic development comes in. So
sure,
we would like to see somebody else take on those challenges, right, and those opportunities to provide some lodging there, specifically, in the South Clinton area or in downtown.
I will say this: the people in South Clinton for a long time have felt like that Clinton got things first, and then South Clinton came second, and I know that the city has done a lot in South Clinton too, but this is something that is, I mean, unparalleled anywhere in the city, anywhere in the South that I know of. And so this is an amazing gift for South Clinton, and I don't know of anything that they could have done or y'all could have done that would have been more of an attractive thing. And it's passive. I know back in 2009, Joe called me into his office, and he said, I want to show you something. I was running for office. And he said, I want to show you something. And he had this, this poster board leaning against his desk, and he got it up, set it on the table, and this is what he wanted to do. And it was ball fields, and it was high quality, enclosed
like a
areas.
Rocky Top sports world mentality.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted to do. And I was talking to him after it when it ended up like it is, and he said, I think it ended up exactly the way it was supposed to be. And because yes, sports, it's great, but not everybody plays sports. Everybody likes to be outside.
Well,
you know
the
what I
city
mean?
has a lot of those amenities.
Yes.
Right? They've got the splash pads downtown, and they're working on a logistics plan, right, to expand the, I guess I would call the networkability of Clinton.
Sure.
Into the bridge and into South Clinton. So they've got some really good, very cool plans over there for the future.
It's good. Hey, somebody wanted to know if they say, if we come to the park and we're handicapped, is there any way to get a shuttle or someone to take us to tour and see the whole park? I guess if they're unable to do that, do you guys any kind of park tours or anything yet?
We don't have official tours set up. That's something that we've also talked about internally, because this is not the first time we've got that request, but we're working on that currently.
I think that would be great, just like when you took us through it. The things I've asked you today are just things you told me Tuesday, but I didn't know any of them before Tuesday. I knew some of it, but not all of it. So I think that would be great. Not that folks wouldn't want to walk through all hundreds of miles of trails and read it, but still, just to know. I was really impressed with the 8 things that you had out there on the porch. I knew about all of them, but just to reread it and see it and understand the history behind it, and then it all ties into the name of the restaurant, and everything else is cool.
Yeah, going back to one other thing you just mentioned about the South Clinton community and the city.
Yes.
So there is going to be, it's ongoing. It started about 4 years ago. CARES Act program. TDOT was able to get some money there to develop a sidewalk design that's going to start down at the Ingalls property at that signalized intersection. And it's about 3/4 mile, run all the way into Aspire.
So it'll join the new bridge.
Sidewalk. Yes, sir. And then the city's been great and helpful with that, and I believe there's plans on getting some crosswalks identified and installed. Eventually, there should be a signal at Aspire for people to be able to get in and out safely. And then I believe there's also our South Clinton representatives on City Council are looking at other sidewalk possibilities to get. There's probably 3,500 or 4,000 people in South Clinton. We want all those people to be able to traverse to Aspire, whether it's on foot or bike, get there safely. So there's still some work to do, and that's the city stepping forward and helping with that.
Is it the state or the city that will do crosswalks and lights? The state does lights, right?
Yeah, that's I'm not well versed on all that, but so they all wear different hats in these different projects, but they all are working together to see that push forward. So it's
right across the street from you guys, you've got a community of thousands of people. You know what I mean? That can walk and enjoy.
Yeah,
that
they're
park.
at the El Tempe and Nurse Corps intersection. They've actually been looking at that for a while to be developed. And I know the city and TDOT are joining forces to try to figure that out, as well as how to extend sidewalks throughout South Clinton so everyone can get from there to Aspire. And ultimately, this sidewalk project that it's going to take a little bit of time. It's still in the final design phases with TDOT, but that'll connect people down to the bridge.
Yeah.
Right, the new bridge, and that gets you to the Lakefront Park and then ultimately into downtown. So good things.
That's cool. No, it's really neat. It's really it's a great thing for the community. I like it. I encourage everybody within the sound of our voice to go and just enjoy it. I mean, it's just a great place to be, to sit, to walk, to look, and to see what we've got, here in Clinton. I had no idea, and still don't, of all the trails that go back. It's hundreds of miles of trails. I really appreciate you taking time to come in. I know we were supposed to be 30 minutes. We're pushing an hour right now, and I apologize for that. Anyone that knows me knows you get me started, and I talk for a long time, thus I'm in this business. But thank you very much, Mr. Wallace, for coming in with us. And if you have anything that we can do to help or promote or let folks know about, if you'll just tell us, we'll be happy to do it. And I hope you'll come back, especially as the park grows. And, we're going to have a Christmas thing going on there with walkthrough. We'll come back for that, and anything else. I can foresee fireworks on 4th of July and all kinds of things happening down there. So
yes, happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Congratulations on the accomplishment too. 7 years. That's a long time when you start from a field.
It is.
And a railroad track. Because that's what it was 7 years ago, a field and a railroad track.
We've had a lot of tremendous help, again, from all those entities, the city, the county, TVA, TDEC, TDOT.
Yeah.
I mean, Norfolk Southern, again, TVA. And so we're proud of our accomplishment. But, yeah, we encourage everybody to come on out and see us and ask questions of our staff. Please make a reservation at this point if you'd like to try to eat with us. We don't like to turn people away. But
sure.
It's been a tremendous response from the community. We appreciate all the positive feedback.
One thing, Mike, I want to just clarify real quick, and I'll let you, I don't want to spend much time on this, but a lot of people have said, hey, wait a minute, there was fly ash in that, and is that dangerous? Is that, and I know the painstaking details and steps that Joe went through, but I just wanted you to, so you can tell everybody, I mean, you're there every day, it's obviously safe, but I just wanted you to tell them that.
Yeah, so that was originally from my understanding, come from Bull Run, and so what developed there was they put a clay liner on the bottom, right, 3-foot clay liner on the bottom, installed the fly ash there, and then put a 3-foot clay liner on top, plus 3 feet of topsoil.
Yes.
Right. And so that fly ash cap there, as we call it, is perfectly preserved. It's been tested by TVA and TDEC in the city. We run annual tests on it every year to make sure that everything's safe, and so we're happy with that. It's one of the best representations of. It's technically not called a brownfield.
Yes.
But one of the best representations of that in the nation there.
So if you've got to store something like that, that's the way to store it.
That's at the time the way it was written. Yeah, it's the best encapsulation. Process there, and so that's where our wildflower meadow is. And so and over time and through the development of Aspire, we've added 24 to 36 inches of additional topsoil to that to grow those wildflower meadows that you see. Is
the wildflower meadow what the gentleman that handles the landscaping was talking about, that they're going to burn off part of the grass and then reseed it for the spring?
We do. Yeah, we remediate that with fires, like a prescribed burn.
Yeah.
That's just part of the process to get that regeneration going every year. But yeah, we do burn it, and then they bush hog it, and then they burn it, and then they reseed it. And so it takes about 5 years to get that sustainable, and we're about year 3.5 right now. Tremendous success on that. We've enjoyed with getting that developed.
How many employees do you guys have in this thing?
A lot. No. No.
I know you need more. I know you were talking about that.
Say when it's all said and done, we'll probably be comfortable around 100 employees that it's going to take to run Aspire. Now, the majority of that's with the Pearl,
sure,
obviously, but we've got our own landscaping crew. So everyone that is at Aspire is a teammate. They work for the foundation. There's no third parties there, right?
Yes.
Like I said, landscaping team, facilities, management there, the restaurant. Everybody works for Aspire, and it's all totally ran by the Aspire Foundation. So there's no outside parties there, no third parties.
Well, that's fantastic. I know that they were talking about you guys as growing and going to need, I think you said we need 20 more, and he said we need 40 more. To take care of all of that lawn and land and everything else, it's got to be a full-time job for a bunch of people.
Yeah, our landscape director, Justin Coffey, I always joke. I said, well, you're just in charge of everything that's green. No pressure.
There you go.
He does a tremendous job. He lives here locally, and him and his team, they mow that thing in a circle, right? They mow the whole park in a circle. And
wow.
And on a typical watering cycle, it's around 35,000 gallons of water to keep Aspire green.
And you guys actually have your own color right? I mean, is it registered as your color, or did you just come out? Because I know a little bit about this because I was talking to Barry Hutchins at H&H, and he was like, I got to paint this statue. I got to come up with this color. So, but is it like there's UT orange in Tennessee?
Yeah, we have an Aspire green.
Okay, Aspire green.
It's got to be matchy all through Aspire, and so that sometimes gets a little bit difficult because you got to be able to put it on shirts and cups and paint a wall with it, and so. But yeah, we have our Aspire green and gold colors that's standard there, and so that's
there's little touches and little things like that most people wouldn't think about, but they certainly do dress up the park and bring everything together when it's all the same color.
Yeah.
But
I would say I heard something earlier this week, and it was, I can't remember where it was at, but it was some gentleman talking about some project. He goes, everything was deliberately designed, not accidentally achieved.
Oh wow!
And so I said, I'm gonna steal that.
That's a great.
That's not my words. That's somebody else. I post that, but I think that fits the theme of what we have there. Every little detail is intentional. Every doorknob, every tree, every finish on the building has been thoroughly vetted and thought through. And there's always opportunities for improvement.
Sure.
Right? It's like we need some benches and we need some
but that's what you learn. That's trial through fire. You learn by going, right?
We do. And we don't run restaurants. We don't build parks. That's not been our strong suit, but we've learned a heck of a lot over the last 7 years. Again, I commend our team, the design team, our foundation board, Joe and his family. Everybody's put in the hours because they have their normal jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the people at Aspire they work for Aspire, but all the other people, they've got their normal job.
Yeah.
Plus, they've taken on Aspire, so they're working 15-hour days, 20-hour days.
He mentioned to me that he had Nikki doing something else, and I was like, okay, so now she's at the Get and Go, and now she does Aspire. How many hats can she wear, Joe?
Yeah,
but
so
I get it.
I will say everybody's put their blood, sweat, and tears into Aspire, and I've been on trail systems myself, quite a bit, laying out and design with the trail contractors and everything. So I've physically given up a few twisted ankles and
to make sure the trails are good.
Yeah. But it's all been worth it. So
one thing that you guys talked about too, I keep saying we're going to end, but you bought stuff from Tennessee stone, and I noticed that you're talking about some of the wood that you use, and everything, if I recall correctly, is set to withhold, and still be intact in 100 years.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
That was the design thought of Joe and the construction team, is we want to build this for 100 years at a minimum, right?
Wow.
And so all the stone, Crab Orchard stone from Crab Orchard, Tennessee, sourced locally, and we have the ironwood or Ipe board that you see that trims out all the buildings and the cool swoopy roof designs. That came from our landscape architects. And so over a lot of years and a lot of meetings and some areas that we all had to figure it out, that's what we did. And just want to encourage everybody to please come visit with us and again, be patient with us on the restaurant side as we figure those things out. But we are definitely going to get there. And we want everything to be first class and, embody that Southern hospitality for all of our guests that come in there.
Well, I'll tell you, we're lucky to have Joe, and certainly lucky that he chose to do this and just give it to the community as a gift. And again, I just, before you guys talk about it, I encourage you to go see it and go walk through it and just read some of the stuff and see it. Have dinner if they got a seat available. But take advantage of it. Take it in. I mean, it's an amazing park to have in South Clinton. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Like I said, I really do hope that you'll come back and keep people up to date with what you're doing. We're happy to do that. And I mean, I don't think you're going to need any help keeping it full, but if you do, we can help you do that too, okay?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Mike, thank you and have a great day. Folks, I'm going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll wrap things up.
As a homeowner, I'm always looking for peace of mind, especially when I have a costly, unplanned expense, like a cooling system repair or replacement. That's when I turn to the eScore Quality Contractor Network. They're the pros who've been specially trained and approved by TVA and your local power company. The quality contractors are licensed and insured, so you can be assured the job will be done right and inspected for free. Contact your local power company or visit energyright.com to learn more.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with the team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SAVE, or text SAVE to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code SAVE.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SAVE to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
What's the second largest investment that most of us will make in our lifetime? A vehicle. So take care of it using Detail Pros of Kingston.
I'm Dwayne Farmer with Detail Pros, owner-operator. So here we recondition anything from your normal daily driver cars to exotic cars, motorcycles, boats, RVs, aviation. Not only do we recondition all these, but we also can ceramic each one of these as well with System X. We're really reconditioning specialists.
You guys do ceramic coating. Tell us about that.
The ceramic coating is a process that's used to protect the paint and protect your investment through UV protection, paint, tree acid rain, or what have you, and it protects your vehicle and your investment from all those. You're going to add value to the vehicle. We use System X ceramic coatings. They actually report to Carfax, so that does help in retaining the value of your vehicle.
Protect your largest investment. Call Detail Pros today or find them online. Detail Pros.
Our website is detail-prostn.com. 865-900-1901.
Hi, I'm Rick Scarborough. As a police chief, I spent my entire career serving and protecting our community. With threats to our Tennessee values growing, I'm running for state representative to ensure all our kids are protected and have opportunities with great schools and high-paying jobs. Anderson County is the best place in the country to raise a family. Please join my effort to keep it that way and defend our conservative values. Election Day is November 5th, and I would appreciate your vote.
Hi, folks. Greg, your friendly garden guy here at Willow Ridge Garden Center in Oak Ridge. Listen up. It's time to pull out those summer annuals and replace them with winter pansies. I know some of those flowers are still rocking their color, but if you don't plant your pansies now, you just might miss the boat. The best selection of colors and varieties can be found